Have you ever felt like you are walking backward on a moving walkway? You are moving your legs, you are doing the hard work, and you are following all the rules. Yet the wall in front of you keeps getting farther away. In the year 2026, this is no longer just a feeling for millions of Americans. It is a cold, hard financial reality. You check your bank balance and you see the numbers creeping up slowly, perhaps a few $100s here or a few $1,000s there. But then you step into the grocery store or you look at your utility bill and you realize that your $100 bill buys significantly less than it did just 2 years ago. The truth is that your money might be growing in terms of numbers, but it is dying in terms of value. This quiet erosion of your hard-earned savings is the greatest threat to your peace of mind as you approach or enjoy your retirement years. If you are between the ages of 55 and 75, you have likely felt a growing sense of unease. You have worked for 40 years. You have been disciplined, and you have sacrificed for your family. Now, you are looking at your 401k or your IRA and wondering if it is actually enough to carry you through the next 3 decades. Today, I am not going to give you vague investment advice or tell you to chase the latest speculative trend. Instead, I am going to hand you a financial magnifying glass that is over 500 years old. It is a secret that bankers and elite merchants have used since the Renaissance to calculate wealth in an instant. It is called the Rule of 72. If you understand this rule, you will know exactly when you can truly afford to stop working. If you ignore it, inflation will continue to silently consume the fruits of your labor until there is nothing left but regret. Let us begin by looking at the trap that most people fall into in 2026. For decades, we were told that the safest place for our money was a traditional savings account. We were told that as long as the principal was protected, we were winning the game. But in today's economy, that traditional safety has become a dangerous illusion. Imagine your retirement savings as a boat in the middle of a vast ocean. A 1% interest rate from your bank is like a tiny cup of water being added to your boat every hour. It feels like progress. But meanwhile, there is a giant hole in the bottom of your boat called inflation. If inflation is draining 4 gallons of water every hour, and you are only adding 1 cup, your boat is sinking. It does not matter how calm the surface of the water looks. The math is working against you. This is what we call a negative real return. When your bank pays you 1% interest, but the cost of living rises by 4 or 5%, you are actually losing 4% of your wealth every single year. Over a decade, that slowly can strip away nearly half of your real-world purchasing power. This brings us to the power of the Rule of 72, and why it is the most important mental shortcut you will ever learn. The rule is incredibly simple, and you do not need a calculator or a spreadsheet to use it. You take the number 72 and you divide it by your annual rate of return. The result is the approximate number of years it will take for your money to double in value. Let us look at some real-world examples that apply to your life right now in 2026. If you leave your money in a high-yield savings account or a certificate of deposit earning just 1%, you divide 72 by 1. The answer is 72. It would take 72 years for your money to double. Think about that for a moment. If you are 60 years old today, your money would not double until you are 132 years old. For most of us, 72 years is an entire lifetime. That is not an investment strategy. That is a recipe for standing still while the world passes you by. Now, let us look at a slightly better scenario. Perhaps you have moved some funds into conservative government bonds or treasuries that yield 4%. 72 divided by 4 equals 18. At 4%, your money doubles every 18 years. If you have $200,000 today at age 60, you would have $400,000 by age 78. That sounds better, but we must remember the giant hole in the boat. If inflation is also running at 4%, that $400,000 in the year 2044 will buy exactly what $200,000 buys today. You've run a marathon for 18 years just to end up in the exact same place you started. This is why the typical person retires with an underwhelming balance. According to recent data from the Federal Reserve, the median household savings for those nearing retirement is only around $200,000. On paper, that is a significant amount of money. But when you apply the Rule of 72 and factor in the true cost of living, you realize that $200,000 is not a destination. It is barely a starting point. To truly build wealth that outpaces the rising cost of groceries, healthcare, and energy, you need a stronger engine. Let us look at what happens when you achieve a 10% return, which has been the historical average of the S&P 500 index over the long term. 72 divided by 10 equals 7.2. At 10%, your money doubles in just over 7 years. This is where the magic of compounding begins to change your life. And the time it takes for a 1% account to move the needle just a tiny bit, a 10% account has doubled your entire net worth. But the real secret of the rule of 72 is not just doubling your money once. The real transformation happens during the third and fourth doubling cycles. Most people spend their entire lives trying to get to their first $1 million. They work, they save, and they struggle for 20 or 30 years to reach that milestone. The first million is always the hardest because your contributions are doing all the heavy lifting. But once you have that base, the machine takes over. If your $1 million is compounding at 10%, the rule of 72 tells us it will become $2 million in about 7 years. And then it becomes $4 million in another 7 years. In the second half of your journey, your money is working significantly harder than you ever did at your peak salary. The jump from 1 million to 2 million takes the same amount of time as the jump from 2 million to 4 million. This is why the wealthy seem to get richer with less effort. They have reached the tipping point where their investments have become a self-sustaining engine. However, I know what many of you are thinking right now. You might be saying, I'm already 65 years old. I do not have multiple 7-year cycles left to wait. This is a valid concern, but it is also the reason why you must act with more precision today than ever before. Time is your most valuable asset, and you cannot afford to waste it on low-yield accounts that do not move the needle. If you are starting later in life, the rule of 72 is your warning signal. It tells you that you cannot play it too safe, because the safest path is actually the riskiest path for your future. If your doubling time is 72 years, you are essentially guaranteeing that you will run out of money. You must find a balance between security and growth. In 2026, this means looking beyond the local bank branch. It means understanding that a diversified portfolio of stocks, real estate, and inflation-protected assets is not just for young people. It is the only way to ensure that your purchasing power stays ahead of the curve. Think about Alex and Jordan, two people in their middle years. Alex starts investing $300 a month at age 25 and earns a 10% return. Jordan waits until age 35 and decides to invest $500 a month to catch up. Even though Jordan is putting in more money every month, Jordan will likely never catch Alex. Why? Because Alex has more doubling cycle. Those extra 10 years allowed Alex's money to double at least one more time than Jordan's. And in the world of compounding, that final double is always the largest and most impactful. But here's the good news for those of you watching this right now. Even if you did not start at 25, you can still use the rule of 72 to optimize what you have today. It is never too late to switch to a more efficient growth engine. If you have $500,000 sitting in a low-interest account, your doubling time is effectively never. But if you move that capital into a diversified portfolio earning 7 or 8%, you could see that money grow to $1 million in 9 to 10 years. That is the difference between struggling in your 80s and living with total financial freedom. The rule of 72 is also a powerful sanity check for your goals. Take a moment right now and look at your current rate of return on your largest investment account. Divide 72 by that number. Does the result align with your retirement timeline? If you want to retire in 5 years, but your money takes 20 years to double, you have a math problem that no amount of wishful thinking can solve. You either need to save more, work longer, or increase your rate of return. In 2026, we must also be honest about the factors that lengthen our doubling time. Taxes and fees are like friction on the wheels of your financial engine. If your portfolio earns 8%, but you pay 2% in management fees and taxes, your real return is only 6%. 72 divided by 6 is 12 years. Those fees just added 3 years to your journey. This is why low-cost index funds and tax-advantaged accounts like the 401k or the Roth IRA are so critical. They remove the friction and let the math work at full speed. To truly master your future, you must stop looking at your wealth in terms of today's dollars. You must look at it in terms of future doubling cycles. Every time you spend $500 on something you do not need, you're not just spending $500. You are spending the $4,000 that money could have become after 3 doubling cycles. When you view your spending through the lens of the rule of 72, your perspective on value changes forever. You begin to see that small, steady contributions matter more than large, sporadic ones. You begin to value time in the market more than timing the market. And most importantly, you gain the peace of mind that comes from knowing the math is on your side. The world of 2026 is complex and often unpredictable. Market volatility will happen, inflation will fluctuate, and headlines will try to scare you into making emotional decisions. But the math of 72 remains constant. It has been true for 500 years, and it will be true for the next 500. It is your North Star, in a stormy financial sea. So here's my challenge for you today. Do not just watch this and move on to the next video. Take out a piece of paper and a pen. Write down your current retirement balance. Find your average annual return from the last few years. Divide 72 by that return. Look at the number of years it takes for your money to double. If you are not happy with that number, it is time to reconsider your growth engines. Are you holding too much cash that is being eaten by inflation? Are you paying too much in fees that are slowing your progress? Are you avoiding the stock market out of fear, even though it is the most reliable doubling machine in history? The first step to financial control is facing the numbers as they are, not as you wish them to be. Remember, the goal is not just to have more money. The goal is to have the freedom to spend your time however you choose, to travel without worrying about the bill, to support your grandchildren's education, to know that you will never be a burden to your family. That freedom is built on a foundation of mathematical truth. The rule of 72 is the key to that foundation. Start early, or if you are starting late, start with more precision. Pick engines that beat inflation and let the quiet power of compounding work for you while you sleep. If you found value in this breakdown, please share it with someone else who is worried about their retirement. We are all in this together, trying to navigate a changing world. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What is the doubling time you calculated for your current portfolio? Are you on track for your goals, or did this rule reveal that you need to make a change? I read as many of your comments as possible, and I learned so much from your real-world experiences. Let us keep the conversation going and help each other build a more secure future.
Make sure yours are as short and efficient as possible. Take care of your future self, because nobody else will do it for you. Invest with wisdom, act with discipline, and let the math take care of the rest. I will see you in the next analysis. Stay focused on the long game. Your peace of mind is worth the effort. Goodbye for now.